Hey everyone, welcome back to Notice That, an EMDR podcast. Jen and I are here with two very special guests that will...
Here being the EMDRIA conference.
Right,
Not
yes.
just like at our normal studio, but we're at the EMDRIA conference.
Yes,
So exciting.
in Anaheim, California. We haven't been to Disneyland yet.
Won't be going.
Too
tired. I'm exhausted.
Yes, but we've heard others have gone and it was fun for them. So that's good. But we're here with two very special guests that we're delighted to get to talk to.
Maybe more than delighted. Like fangirling a little bit. Thrilled, excited.
Ecstatic.
I didn't have posters, but very excited to see you both speak. And
some of our fans have.
Yes.
Today. Yes.
Yeah. The fact that you guys were willing to take some time out of what I imagine is a very full schedule, just really appreciate it.
Yes. So for those that don't already see because they're not watching the video, those on the podcast, we're sitting here with Jongh and Suzy Matthijssen, EMDR 2.0, but I don't want to specify for you how you want to be introduced. So we typically turn it over to the guests to let them introduce themselves. So over to you, however you'd like
I'm
to
also
be.
Jongh. I'm a therapist and a researcher. I'm connected to the University of Amsterdam and a couple of other universities in the UK. So I started with EMDR in 1992, and I was the second person ever introduced in EMDR in Europe, and I'm the main trainer of EMDR in the Netherlands. I introduced EMDR in the Netherlands. Later on, I was connected to the university, did a lot of research. I still have about 10 PhD students doing research on EMDR only. Yeah.
Suzy?
Well, my name is Suzy Matthijssen. I'm a clinical psychologist and I'm also a researcher. And I did my PhD on enhancing trauma treatment. So not only EMDR, it's a little bit broader, but I'm specifically focused on mechanisms in trauma therapies and also doing some broader studies on trauma therapy in PTSD patients. I am the director of the Enhancing Trauma Treatment Institute, so if people like it, they can look it up also online, the Enhancing Trauma Treatment Institute. We have a lot of trainings that they can find and workshops, webinars, whatever they like. And I'm also the director of the Sidetrack Academy, and that is where we see each other every day, not every day.
Intensive treatment program, actually.
So Sidetrack is like the world's largest trauma clinic. And we treated last year more than 2,000 people. And in total, we treated almost 13,000 people who have mainly complex PTSD. Sometimes just PTSD.
And we do that in a very intensive program, like 4 sessions a day in 2 weeks. So that's 4 days, 2 days in Monday, Tuesday, you could say, and then Monday, Tuesday next week. Then they do it online. So prolonged exposure, EMDR in the morning, and then prolonged exposure, EMDR in the afternoon, 2 days in a row, and then 2 days online in the next week. And then we have an 80% loss of diagnosis.
Yes, I heard in your presentation this afternoon that this is a model that you've been practicing even before EMDR 2.0 came around. Is that treatment structure something that you're also familiar with? Did that grow alongside EMDR 2.0? This 4 sessions a day, multiple kinds of...
We started with an 8 days program, and then we got the clients that had been in therapy for 20 years, and they wanted to get rid of their PTSD. At that time, it was not complex PTSD; it didn't exist, and we had challenging clients that went to therapy, but they never had any success. And we want to have a success. So we tried all kinds of things because we had so many patients. We could do trial and error things. And then we found out that, we found out that working memory taxation is the real big important thing. Because most of the time it was already activated, the memories, but some people needed more taxation than others. And we developed all kinds of powerful techniques to tax the working memory, not only the eye movements, but funny eye movements and tapping tasks and spelling tasks,
Some auditory.
auditory
Yeah.
things and that worked pretty well.
Yeah, and that was also, I think, about the time just after SciTrek started. I didn't work there at that time, so he's one of the founders of SciTrek. But that was about the time that we started to work more intensively. At that time, I was connected to Utrecht University, and I was doing actually a lot of laboratory studies. So I looked, for example, into mechanisms of modality specificity that you are referring to.
Yes, yes.
Auditory stimulation with auditory content. But the collaboration was very fruitful because we learned a lot from patients. I was at that time director of the Utrecht Academic Anxiety Center, where we treated complex anxiety disorders, complex OCD, and complex trauma-related disorders. So that we had also an intensive program for OCD and panic disorder, and we had an intensive program for PTSD that I developed a few years after SciTrek
You
did it.
more or less copied our program.
Yeah, it was actually
stole
actually
it.
lighter.
Stolen.
No, it was actually
Friendly stealing.
it was actually a condensed version of it. It was not even the same. It was just so much smaller because they had so much more capacity at SciTrek.
Yeah.
And they had a clinic, so people stayed over. They came 4 days, and the next week they came 4 days.
Yeah.
And then I thought, I don't have that capacity. I don't have beds in the institution where I was working at that time. So I thought, let's try and make it similar. And that's correct. The model I copied. So I used also EMDR and prolonged exposure. But I only had time to do like one session of each day, of course. And I also had only time to do 1 hour of sports. They did 6 hours of sport at that time a day. 6 hours of psychomotor
A lot
therapy.
of physical activity.
Yeah, and a couple of hours of psychoeducation. I didn't have the time to do that as well.
Yeah.
So it was 1 hour of prolonged, 1 hour of psychomotor therapy, 1 hour of psychoeducation, and then 2 sessions of so 1 prolonged exposure and 1 EMDR. And that is actually when we found out that because we over the years we became, I think, more bold. So first we thought, oh, these difficult patients, good to have them in the clinic. Then at my institution, I developed this outpatient center. Actually, our results were,
Comparable.
comparable. They were comparable. My program was also a bit shorter. I had only 6 days. It was a little bit less effective, but not that much of a difference. It was comparable. And then came the time that they thought, oh, we can make it even shorter.
So you
We stole
copied.
back.
No.
You cannot say it like that.
You can't say it like that.
No. It was more condensed. You made it more condensed.
I remember in 2019 we went bankrupt. We spent too much money. We had a director who wanted to spread it wanted to start all kinds of clinics in the whole world, and we went bankrupt. And so and when we started after that, we said, okay, how can we can start over, but how can we improve that program?
Yeah.
And then we said, okay, at that time it was 8 days, but 1 session in the morning and 1 session in the afternoon. Maybe we can do much more, like having more memories processed in a day if we do more sessions a day. That's how we started up with the 4 days program.
And then the next step actually was that when COVID came, and that's one of the good things of COVID. I mean, it was mostly bad, of course,
Right.
but one of the good things is that all kinds of technological tools were developed.
Yeah.
That is a very good thing, but also that we had to do something with people that were at home.
Right.
Because I don't know how it was in the States, but in the Netherlands we had these lockdowns, or we were prohibited to see our patients live. And here again, we had this moment that we thought, oh, this is not possible with our population.
Right.
You know, we have such difficult patients because we both, in both of our institutions, we saw people that had therapy for like 20, 30 years that gone through a lot of things, and then at the end they came to us. So we thought not possible, but again there, at the same time we developed our programs online. We collaborated a lot actually, and I remember the first client that finished the online program in my institution. I called out crying.
Yeah.
because all of her scores were on 0. And I even said to my assistant, I said, can you call this patient again? I
need to verify.
There's something wrong
Yeah.
with the data because
Yeah.
it's all 0. I mean, it's PTSD 0, but also depression, which was very high, also 0. All of her other symptoms,
Yeah.
0,
This
0.
can't be the case.
I said, no,
Yeah.
this is wrong. I mean,
Yeah.
did she fill in the question as well? Or did she just click on something? Or did you? She said, I already called her, she said, because I saw the same thing. But it's true.
Wow.
I said, you need to call her again.
I need to
And she
talk to
did.
her. Yeah.
Yeah, so we double check, and it was all 0. It was, and it doesn't mean that everybody gets to 0.
Yeah.
No.
But it meant that it was, that it was possible to do
Right.
it. So
Yeah, but
and
when
then-
COVID wasn't, when we didn't have the COVID period, we couldn't think of
No.
that it was possible.
Yeah.
That we treat an intensive program, but with a lot of people having a lot of emotions and were easily
Dissociated.
Highly
dissociated.
dysregulated.
And everyone
Yeah.
said it's not possible to do it online.
No.
That was the
with these
prevailing
difficult
thought.
patients.
Yeah.
So we had to do it, and it worked. So
Otherwise I
if
think-
there was no COVID, we never
No.
had
You wouldn't have
discovered it.
evolved
No,
in that
because
way.
we would have never gotten permission to do it.
Right.
Because everybody would say it's irresponsible. But
Right.
now we have no
Unethical.
choice. Or they were home alone,
Yeah.
or they were home alone getting treatment.
Yes, and what happens when they dissociate at home and you
Right.
can't reach them there, and then we said yes, but
Yeah. Yeah, so it worked out.
It worked,
I mean,
yeah.
and actually I
they
find,
are at home all the time.
Right.
and they dissociate many times at home
Yeah.
also.
So what
when-
would be different?
Yeah, what would
Yeah,
be different?
and actually I find that if you do online therapy, that actually they dissociate less.
Yeah.
Because they're very focused on what they're doing, especially when you use a tool and they're like really involved into doing EMDR
Right.
on that tool. So that's how the program now in Sidetrack also got changed into you come 2 days face to face, you come 2 days in person, and the second 2 days you do that online. So that's how we roll now most of the time.
So I'm really curious, like even like backing up a bit, like a ways, but hearing from you guys as people who have really like walked with this working memory, like taxing the working memory theory, and have brought it in so many ways, not just with EMDR, but it's an overarching. Can you guys speak a little bit more as kind of experts in the field around that for our listeners who maybe are hearing here in the States that for the first time as the model or the mechanism of change within EMDR?
Yeah, so you want to be more explicit about 2.0, right?
Please,
That's
yeah.
the whole.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I would love to hear theory, because the way I understand 2.0 is we really have it lined out as like a full modality. It's EMDR, but there's really specific techniques you guys are bringing in to do that. Can you speak
Okay.
about the theory, and then we speak about
Theory
yeah.
first? Yeah.
Well, of course, we are not the only ones that think that bilateral stimulation is not per se the working mechanism of EMDR. I told already yesterday in the keynote that I gave here at the EMDR conference that already in 2008, Gunther and Butler did a study that studied if horizontal eye movements work just the same as vertical, and they found out no difference. But then a lot of other studies followed, not only by their group, but many different groups, and they all found the same thing. If you tax the working memory with doing something, while at the same time bringing your memory up, the memory decreases in emotionality.
And also that the more you tax it, the better the effect.
Yeah, that's also true. And that's also 2008 Maxfield study, but also Suzanne van Veen, 2015. And the more you tax the working memory, the bigger the decrease in
The
emotionality.
dose response effect.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's correct. So that's the theory behind it. But that means that you have to find ways to optimize activation and to optimize desensitization. So those are the first two pillars that we came up with in 2.0. But there is a third one, and that is motivation. And I think that's, I don't know how that is for you, but it's really different than how you do normally, your regular EMDR, because people come and they're like, oh no, this and this happened. Okay, let's work on that. And they expect you as a therapist to work for them and to do the job. And if they don't think about it, then it's up to you to
I
do
haven't
something.
thought about the work we did last week.
Did I
or
do
haven't-
Oh,
yeah.
So, in 2.0, it's really different. You really need to make the patient understand about that working memory theory. So we do a lot of explanation up front so that they understand, I need to work with you to bring it up And if it's not there, or if I cannot reach it, or if I have difficulty with it, I will tell you so that we can do something together, laying on the ground in the same position that I was in, hearing a certain sound, heavily breathing. For example, for when you were raped, maybe that activates something. Or looking at something, a picture, or touching your knee, or maybe touching your throat. It could activate something. And so those are activating components. And then you have the desensitizing components. We already heard Ad say there's a dose-response relationship. So the more you tax the working memory, the better the response.
I want to tie in to what you said in the original, the 2008 article that you were talking about that tested the hypothesis that bilateral stimulation was essential.
No, not bilateral stimulation, that's working memory.
Well,
No. Gunther and Botter in 2008.
Yeah.
They tested if bilaterality was essential.
All right.
And essentially found
actually,
that it's not about bilaterality. It's about cueing the working memory, and that the eye movements were a way of doing that. And that opened the door for the idea that maybe it could be multiple modes of working memory taxation.
Yes.
We have an episode that came out obviously before this one talking about what working memory taxation is. Because that's a somewhat of an abstract concept as an idea. You're talking about stimuli coming into the client or patient's awareness that takes their attention not just off of essentially one thing and puts it on another. So if you could speak a bit to what working memory taxation actually is, I think that would be really helpful.
Well, the working memory consists of several components actually. So one is the central executive, which is more or less like, I would say always like the bossy system. It divides your attention. It says, oh no, you need to go there, you need to go there. It's just, more like the boss. You have two central subsystems. One is the visuospatial sketchpad, which you need for all visual information or to orient yourself. For example, if I always give the example, if you go to IKEA, that part of your working memory, for me, is really underdeveloped.
Really underdeveloped.
So, because when I go in my car, I heavily rely on Google Maps. While other people would say, no, you remember you were going from that way or the first ride. I mean, or maybe it's a woman thing.
I deeply relate. So
at least I'm very bad at it. But I have other things I'm good at, I think. So. And then you have the phonological loop. And that is comprised with all kinds of auditory information. So if I would say to you my phone number, plus 31654, and I would say it, then you would repeat that in your mind.
31654,
and then you will store it. I will not tell my real
number.
I'm
so sorry.
I'm so sorry. Don't give the rest.
No, it has more numbers. It has more numbers. So I thought maybe I would stop because
sorry.
I get a lot of phone calls, I think.
Yes, right.
Hey, Suzy.
So, of course, what we found in research is that general taxation, so it doesn't really matter what subsystem or central executive, there's two conflicting accounts for that. And one is the central executive account and the other is that modality account. And there are some conflicting evidences found in different researches. But in general, I would say you can, you can think about it like this. General taxation is important, it doesn't matter how. But if there is a specific modality component in the memory, like for example, somebody says, I still hear him breathing, then I would say add or cue if they are not able to bring it up. That's activation. But desensitization is the other way. Then you would do something conflicting on the auditory part. So for example, we would put on Spotify, I would say, hey Ad, what's your favorite number? Oh, that's a song of, I don't know.
Favorite song.
Yeah, favorite song. Sorry, what kind of favorite song do you have?
I don't know.
Well, say something of Coldplay. Say something, I would say Coldplay.
Sure.
And then I would, for example, say to you, okay, you think about that, concentrate on that sound of that heavily breathing. And then I would say, okay, I will put on your number of Coldplay here, your song of Coldplay. Song of Coldplay. And then I would say, every time I put it on pause, you tell me the last word you heard. So that somebody really has to stay focused on that auditory content. It's really difficult to hear two things at the same time.
And that's what patients also understand. Everyone understands that you can do two things at the same time. bringing up
Yeah.
a memory and doing another task. It's very difficult. So for people, it's understandable. Like talking about two brain parts that you have to stimulate, it's difficult. And particularly in the field, you see that the bilateral theory was not accepted by the universities and the CBT people in the field. They said, "What a bullshit
Yeah,
is
yeah.
that?
This is mystery.
Two
We
brain
don't know
part.
why it
It's too
works."
much
Yeah.
mystery." But it was also saying in my workshop, if Francine Shapiro would have embarked on the working memory theory, she would, everyone believed that. There were many citations already when she started with EMDR on the working memory theory. So it's very understandable for the client too, and for researchers too, because also, if you explain it to the client and say, yes, it's okay, you were bitten by a dog, it's in your long-term memory. You bring it in your short-term memory. So you ask them, bring it up, think about it, then it's in your short-term memory. Then you ask them to just think about it and follow the fingers as fast as you can. There's a competition
Right.
between the memory and the following of the fingers. The memory gets more blurred, more vague, more distant. So it's becoming less disturbing and less vivid. Then it goes back into the long-term memory. And then when you go back to target in EMDR, you say, hey, bring it up again. And the patient says, oh, okay, it's already less disturbing. And on a sub level, it's lower than before. So that's understandable,
Right.
the whole theory. And then from that point, if EMDR doesn't work, you can understand, hey, something went wrong. Sut is not decreasing, so there are only two things or three things can go wrong. The memory is still not in the working memory, so you have an empty working memory. Most of the time, patients say, "I find it difficult to bring it up because it's
Far
too
away from
embarrassing."
me.
No, it's too embarrassing, or
Oh, yeah.
if I bring it up, I feel that I get overwhelmed. It's too disturbing. And if EMDR doesn't work and the SUT doesn't agree, maybe the taxing task is not good enough. There are people with a huge working memory, then doing slow eye movements is not effective. You need more, you add other tasks to make it happen, the competition between these two. And I saw another video in this conference that the client was saying, okay, it goes too fast. Can you do it more slowly? And the therapist did that.
Yeah.
It means that you're not effective. Because
That may allow them to keep it out of like,
Yeah.
that suppression, keep it out of that working
Yeah,
memory. We're
the-
not going to get the
it's-
same.
exactly, it's,
Yeah.
you're not competing enough.
So,
But one other thing that was important that I also said, I'm sorry I didn't
oh no,
want to.
absolutely
ahead.
no.
Yeah.
I don't want to take us in another direction.
But that is also that it's not only about working memory taxation, because it's also about being able to alter memories. So to bring it up, and by activating them, they are malleable,
Reconsolidate.
and then you can reconsolidate them.
Yeah.
So it's actually two theories at the same time.
Right. With
Because
working memory
if it was
taxation.
only working memory taxation, it would mean that only at the time in the session,
And it's-
and people cannot do two
Yeah,
things at
that's
the
the
same
only
time,
distraction.
that they
Yeah.
lose it at the time in the session. But that wouldn't explain for it to also be able to get the results for the next week or the upcoming year or years, the rest of the life.
That's one of the questions that we often get is, what does EMDR 2.0 look like in a longitudinal efficacy?
Yeah.
And I'm curious, what are you finding as you continue to measure this with patients that have completed a program?
It's the same, of course. I mean, EMDR is also effective.
Yes.
And we're not saying it's not effective, it's effective. Only we are researchers also,
Yes.
besides clinicians. So we're dedicated clinicians and researchers, and we're looking to optimize So we are looking, hey, what is the working mechanism? It's just an enhanced version.
Right.
So everything else that we do still applies. We
Yeah.
still do all the steps, all the phases. We still allow for associations. That's a large misconception, I think. People think that we don't ask for associations. We still do the installation of the PC. We still do the body scan, although Aad doesn't do it.
You also not.
Yeah, I do.
Yes?
I do.
Really? I do. Oh my gosh, I've never seen you doing it.
I do.
All right.
If I have time.
Yeah, if I have time.
Yeah, it's true. You think I'm lying here?
You do have a mic.
Yeah.
Whispering's not gonna. So I want to go back a minute to talk about in that you said we bring it into working memory, taxation, then reconsolidation.
Yeah.
Do you experience ever that there's not movement into reconsolidation, but instead we're suppressing? We're going back into dissociation or suppression, removing it out of the working memory because of the overwhelm, the shame,
Yeah.
Of course, people do that. And that's why, of course, we came up with special techniques. Because you need to find a workaround
Yeah.
to make sure that they do activate.
Yeah.
So we had come up with the blind to therapist method for people that are very much ashamed of bringing up their memory, that they do activate it, but they don't share anything about it. And that makes it possible for them because they want to suppress, because once you ask what comes up, they need to report something to you and they don't want it. And then they're like, hoo-hoo. And so if you give them the opportunity to do the processing and you're just helping them with the process, but they don't need to share, that is also okay. And then the flash forward, which is of course your biggest baby, I think.
A signature.
Yeah. So the flash forward is for people that are afraid of something in the future, anticipatory fear. And so they create an image of what they're fearful for in the future. And this we also use a lot in therapy in people with CPTSD because they're afraid of doing the therapy.
Yeah.
So we make a flash forward about their fear of doing the therapy.
What I love to hear is you're naming all of this. I think a lot of people can think of like that approach as we're losing the therapist, like observation and attunement. But it sounds like, I mean, to really see like, are we hitting reconsolidation or are we into suppression, dissociation? It requires that technique of clinician to be observant and
Sure.
tracking and then bringing
actually
in
the
the
patient.
specialty.
There are two, but I think it's so important to understand. In the beginning of EMDR, when I was trained, EMDR is about desensitization, like following the eye movements and
Purely desensitization.
But there's another thing. Tracking the eye movements is also a way of keeping the patients within the window of tolerance.
Yeah.
So there are two things you do with the eye movements. People don't follow so the window of tolerance means if you go up on the upper end, then people get emotional
Overwhelmed.
or overwhelmed, but in the lower end, the dissociation,
Drop out.
the deactivation.
Yeah.
So in both sides, when they fall out of the window, EMDR processing doesn't take place. So doing eye movements, and when they are likely to drop out, you do more taxation so that it stay within. People is getting overwhelmed, too emotional. You see it happening. Too much hyper
Arousal.
activation or dissociation. So then you can't process anymore.
Yeah, so it attunes perfectly with the EMDR 2.0 because it's if you're hypo activated, then you do activation. If you're hyper activated, you do more desensitization. And that's the constant battle that you have during your therapy.
Yeah, the balance. Yeah,
And that's what I
you're
said.
looking for.
If it's difficult and it doesn't work out that easily, then we have these special techniques. Then I told about the EMD bomb and the flash forward, but we also have titration techniques, the flash 1.0, mental video check. I forgot one, I think.
I think you have.
EMD bomb.
Maybe they need to look at your website and check out all
Ah,
of the
there you
workshops
go.
to find
There
out.
Oh, yeah.
I can't think of it.
Yeah. So yeah, it's all about processing. It makes sense actually.
Yeah.
That's what I said before. Patients understand it. You can easily say, "Hey, can do two things at the same time. We want to have you within the window of tolerance." Actually, 2.0 is just EMDR, but more specified on yeah laboratory studies that show the more you activate, the better the results. The more you taxing, better the results. That are all new information that came in after the writing up of the book of Francine Shapiro.
Yeah.
And that's the problem. 2008, the development of EMDR stopped because Francine Shapiro didn't write books, and there are no new developments. Because the new developments were when Francine stood up and said, "Hey, we have to do it like this."
Right.
But research shows that new developments, like for instance, what we are very fond of, is not so much resourcing,
Right.
no phase-based treatment, no stabilization before, but really go into the trauma right away. It saves a lot of time because stabilization has proven to be it doesn't improve the process. But yeah, many people are afraid, so they do long treatments before they actually start with the processing of
Yeah.
memories.
That is one of the pieces that consultees again will kind of remark as they interact with different EMDR 2.0
Yeah.
ideas, at least. I don't,
Yeah.
Not so much for the people that have taken the training,
Yeah.
but the impression is that they just rush right into the trauma and they don't stabilize.
Yeah.
And there's the scoff kind
Yeah.
of response. But again, watching some of the presentations, it seems that it's not that there's not attunement, it's that
No,
you're
it's
trusting.
very much
If you
attuned.
if
Yeah.
you try to get them stay
Yeah.
within the window of tolerance, nothing happens.
Nothing happens.
But I
Yeah.
think I mean, 2.0 is about execution of EMDR. So even if you don't do 2.0, even if you do regular EMDR, it's still, the other subject is that we don't do stabilization. It doesn't mean that's only for 2.0.
Right.
We also don't do stabilization if we do prolonged exposure. We also don't do stabilization if we do imagery scripting. In general, I mean, the studies that show this, they're not only from the EMDR people.
Right.
So he collaborated on the study with Noortje van Vliet on stabilization or not before doing EMDR. But there was also a similar study in the exposure field and a similar study in the imagery scripting field.
Yeah.
And so it's not only we say
Yeah,
it
right.
or our
They
field.
all show the
but it's
same.
not
Yeah.
that's not per se 2.0.
Right. The
But,
prevailing
yeah.
therapy modalities for trauma
Yeah,
are also
yeah. So
showing that same
that's
efficacy.
separate from 2.0 is only the execution of the EMDR.
Right.
And I think also we are very much pro doing good case conceptualization. That is also not EMDR 2.0 because it's how you set up your treatment. But I think there is a very big difference in how we do that and how many therapists have learned to do it. Because there we go straight to the core. There we try to find out really specifically, okay, you have these and these symptoms, so what do I need to twist here? What do I need to look at? Where do I need to target to? What do I need to target to get these symptoms out of your system?
Yeah.
So it's not, we never ask the question, what do you work on today? Never, ever.
Yeah.
No, that has no direction.
Yeah.
We set up a plan, okay, it's PTSD, for example, then we use an intrusion pathway where you are suffering from intrusions. What are the intrusions that you suffer the most from? Okay, then we're gonna put them in the order of the highest SAT, and we're gonna start there.
That's the best relation
Yes.
between symptoms, and complaints, and the memories. Your hypothesis, as AAP hypothesis, if you treat a trauma,
Right.
then the symptoms disappear. So you start with the memories with the highest SAT. Then you know with the highest SAT, if they go down, then the symptoms go down. Yeah.
But if, for example, you suffer from negative core beliefs about yourself or
Yeah.
the world or others, we have a different route. Or then we say, okay, you think that you're not worthwhile or you're not important.
Not
okay.
lovable.
Oh,
Yeah.
not lovable, but you were not born with that. There were experiences in your life that made you believe it. What experiences for you right now still make you believe that you are? So you look at memories that prove to you right now that you are blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
Eh? So it's about case conceptualization. And of course, what I do see is that we do that with the same boldness and the same directness. So people confuse those two things.
Yeah.
Case conceptualization is about setting up your case. It's not about how you execute EMDR 2.0 or the EMDR, the therapy itself. We also do that case conceptualization if we do prolonged exposure, or for example, for me, also imagery scripting. I'm also a CBT consultant. I'm also teaching imagery scripting. So I'm very broad. It's not only EMDR.
Yeah.
So case conceptualization is start of your therapy. But how you do it, that is 2.0. Well, that's
In
for
EMDR.
Yeah. You, Suzy, your part of your title of your keynote address was the future of EMDR, and perhaps we could use this as the closing of the conversation of where in your vision would you like to see things go for the field of EMDR?
Can I say something?
Yes. I said already a lot about it. So keep going.
So we did a lot of research in PTSD. We did already. We're still doing that. Needs to be done, but
according to APA.
But we did a study a few years ago in Sidetrack, which we treated the PTSD, and we looked at the patients that had borderline personality disorders that 1 year later, whether they still could be diagnosed with borderline personality disorder. In the 8 days treatment, 1 year later, 73% didn't fulfill the diagnostic criteria, and then it was mind-blowing for us. So hey, and it was the first study ever done that someone after 1 year looked at their symptoms. And so then we find, when we treat a criteria worthy events like sexual abuse or physical abuse, and we have already 73% loss of diagnosis, maybe we also need to treat the other types of events that people are developing symptoms of, like bullying, like physical neglect or emotional neglect. So, and that's what we do now. We developed a program for Sidetrack in which we treat, we have a 6-day program for borderline personality disorder and other personality disorders. And we did a randomized clinical trial we just published on, showing that in 10 sessions in which you treat 8 ACEs, adverse childhood experiences, you have also a large diagnostic status loss in the 10 sessions that you do. So the 10 sessions model with EMDR shows that you have one of the best treatments for personality disorder. So for me, it's the future. The guideline for personality disorders, EMDR in the guideline for that, because we already proved that we are capable of doing that.
Well, I want to be in more guidelines.
More guidelines.
Well, not me, but EMDR.
EMDR, yes.
Yeah. So I think also we have to do better for the guideline of anxiety disorders. There we have a lot to win as well. And also depression. Those are very large, large amount of people are affected by those disorders, of course. And I think actually that I would like
trauma-focused treatments, huh?
Yeah, I would like the world to understand that everywhere where you have mental images, mental imagery, either past or future, that are at the core of your symptomatology, then EMDR is useful. And I would wish that EMDR starts to collaborate more with other groups of people. Because now we are just still boxing with the world of imagery scripting or CBT or
competition,
whatever. And it's so not necessary. It's really not necessary. And I think if we would be able to talk better with the other fields, that also maybe they would welcome us with open arms. And then we have much more collaborations also for research. Yeah, that would be...
Makes so much sense if you do trauma-focused treatments.
Yeah.
Like like for instance, the personality. There's no trauma-focused treatment for personality disorder.
Yeah, it's-
EMDR is first, like dialectical behavior therapy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a very much used therapy.
Yeah.
Right.
But it's only teaching them coping skills.
Yeah.
Right.
Actually,
State change.
Yeah.
actually,
But the
it's
core is still the
stabilization.
same.
Right.
It's just
Yeah.
stabilization
Yeah.
and no trauma-focused treatment. Well, all these patients with personality disorder have these
Horrible experiences.
horrible experiences. They're not born with this.
Right.
And the same with depression. I mean, people who give CBT gives also good results. But if you looked at the meta-analysis that I did with Sarah Dominguez and Chris Lee, you saw that the effects of trauma-focused treatment for depressions were enormous. And we already knew that because in our intensive programs, we both found that if you look at a depressive symptom scale, the results of doing a PTSD treatment on the concurrent depressive
Depression,
symptoms is enormous.
Yeah.
I don't see any effect in 4 or 6 days of CBT happening on depression. It happens so fast. So if there is memories at the core of your symptomatology, I think EMDR would be
Rules the world.
amazing.
Rules the world.
How it will be.
Well, thank you all for so much for your time. I know it's
Yeah,
been a
it
long,
was nice
long
talk.
day for you.
Thank
Thank you for
Yes.
the invitation.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Love to be
Absolutely.
here.
It's been an honor to meet you both.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.